Good afternoon and welcome to the PLZ Soccer Football Show. It's myself, Gabriel Antoniazzi, Alan Ruff and Tam McManus presenting live here at Hampden Park, where on Sunday the League Cup final will take place between a managerless Hibernian and an injury-ravaged Celtic. We're going to be talking all things about that game. We're also going to have a little look back at Scotland's Nations League draw. We found out that late last night, and also previewing the 4 other SPFL games on Saturday. But we've got to start with the big one on Sunday, Hibs against Celtic. We're going to talk about the Edinburgh side first. Tam, of course, played for them. What do you reckon going into this game? We know that David Gray is going to be in charge. There's Maloney looming over. We expect him to be announced some point in the next few days. But can Hibs win this? That's the main question.
Yeah, I think they can win it. I think they've got to go and put a performance in like they done against Rangers in the semi-final. I don't think there's much difference between Celtic and Rangers in a big game. So if Hibs turn up on the day, Martin Boyle's obviously a key player. You know, you've seen him in the semi-final. He ripped Rangers apart. I think he'll play through the middle. Celtic play a very high line at the back. So listen, all the ingredients are there for Hibs to cause an upset, but they have to go and play well on the day.
Is that what it's about? Is Boyle the key man, Ruffy?
I think he is, the way the Celtic defence is just now. We know they're weak in the flanks at the back, you know, and his pace will always cause, you know, anybody problems, you know. But as Tam said, they have to turn up on the day. It's no good just him. You know, they need another 3 or 4 to play to the standard that they can, and they'll hope that Celtic have an off day.
Mm-hmm. They've been struggling lately. Hibernian, of course, just won 3 of their last 12 matches. A big win midweek for them, wasn't it? That gave them confidence going into this one?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that David Gray's come in. He's been a steady hand. He's come in. They should have beat St Mirren away from home. They lost a late goal, but they showed a lot of grit, a lot of character during the week there to go and get a 1-0 win. Sets them up nicely for Sunday. A few injury problems, Nisbet, Cadden. You know, hopefully Hibs have got a full squad to pick from. Christian Doyle's come back in, so listen, Hibs have got to turn up on the day and play really, really well. There's no doubt about that. If Celtic, you know, play well, really well, they'll probably win the game. They've got better players, but I think Hibs have got a chance. They showed in the semi-final that they can produce a big performance on the big stage, and they've got to do it again. So
would you have them playing that 3-5-2 formation that they did against Rangers with the 3 at the back? You've got Doigan, Cadden, if he's fit as we expect him to be, wing backs, Campbell just playing ahead of Doyle, Hayes and Newell, and then Nisbet and Boyle up front. Is that what you would do? Stick with the same 11, or would you make any changes?
No, I think that'll probably be the setup, but you know, Josh Doyle's not played the last couple of games. Yeah. Lewis Stevenson's played really well, so
played in the game as well.
Yeah, I think Stevenson will play.
Do you?
Yeah, I think Stevenson will play. I think Cadden will play on the other side if he's fit.
Okay.
They'll play the back 3. It'll be interesting to see what he does up front. You know, Nisbet's struggling. Christian Doyle's come in the other day, but I think if Nisbet's fit, he'll play. Christian Doyle's on the bench, so 3-5-2. I think that's what they'll play, and they'll try and get the balls down the side of Celtic.
Yeah, you're talking about Hibs' strengths and Celtic's weaknesses, but what are Hibs' weaknesses? You know, they've only won 3 of their last 12. Something's got to be going wrong. Is it defensively? Is it the whole team? Is it just individual mistakes?
I think it's a lack of confidence as well. You know, you would have thought after beating Rangers the confidence has been high, but the league form's there for everybody to see. It's not impressive. But when you go into a final, you know, you throw that all out the window. You know, it's a one-off game. You hope that your players on the day rise to the occasion. You know, you're looking at Porteous and you're looking at Hanlon. You know, if they're at the best they can play, that's what they'll have to do, because I mean the attack for Celtic will just be relentless. You know, they'll be getting the ball in the midfield for Turnbull and McGregor, and they'll be getting wide, and the pace will be there. And this is the best chance they're going to get because of the injuries that Celtic have got. Yeah. You've got to, when that team line comes in and you look at the Celtic team, without being overconfident at the Hibs, I've got to say, look, we've got a chance here. The big players aren't playing, you know, but it's up to them, you know. But I still think with the stats that Celtic are producing, they're only winning 1-0 here and there, but I mean, shots on target is phenomenal in 90 minutes of a game, and Turnbull and McGregor will trouble anybody.
Yeah, they certainly will. Hibs, of course, have won 3 League Cups before. Their first one in 1973 was against Celtic. They were hoping to repeat that. Touched on Ryan Porteous there. Such a big character he was in the semi-final. Which Ryan Porteous are we going to see tomorrow? Because sometimes I watch him and I do think he's going to be a Scotland international for 10 years, but then he has these lapses in concentration where he makes mistakes. And yes, he is a young player, and you'd hope that he will iron them out of his game going forwards. But you almost feel that if you get the perfect Porteous, you get the perfect Hibs.
Yeah, I think that Ryan's played well this season. I don't think there's any Hibs supporter who would argue with that. I think he's performed really consistently. couple of mistakes. You know, he made a mistake in the semi-final. You know, his clearance went straight to Arfield, I think it was, to put it in the net. But apart from that, he played really well. He was solid. And as Ruffy says, the Hibs back three have got to play really well. You know, because Celtic are good up front. You know, they've got good wide men. You know, it doesn't matter who they bring in. They played a badder through the middle against Ross County. Looked sharp, he's quick. So they've got a lot of pace in the forward areas, a lot of movement in midfield. So Hibs have got to defend properly, but at the other end they've got a threat. And I think you've got to have that threat at the other end, or else Celtic will just keep squeezing the line. You know, with Boyle up front, I don't think Hibs are going to. Celtic will play that high line.
No.
You know, they're going to be concerned about anything over the top for Boyle. So that gives Hibs a little bit of an edge. But Brian Porteous has got to go and play well. You know, he's got to play well, and he's got to keep his head. You know, in big games, sometimes he's lost his head a little bit, and he's got to keep his head. And Hibs have got to keep 11 men on the pitch.
Yeah.
The problem for Porteous and handling is they're not got an out-and-out centre forward to mark. You know what I mean?
You think Turnbull might play up front?
Yeah, no, he's not going to play right up front.
Yeah,
no, I don't. I mean, they're not going to come up against a bustling centre forward, which would suit them. They'd rather play somebody like that than somebody who's coming off them and running at them. You know, so that'll be something different for them to handle, because there is a lot of pace in there. But again, as we're saying, they've got to adapt to the situation.
And you're talking about Martin Boyle. They of course scored that brilliant first half hat-trick in the semi-final against Rangers a month ago. He told us that he thrives on the big occasion.
Yeah, we just go out there and play with a smile on your face. That's what my dad always says to me when I was a young boy, and he still says it to this day every week. So that's all you can really do. If you're playing with a smile on your face and you love playing football, then you know the performances will come, and as long as you work hard and give everything for it, then I'm sure we'll have no doubt about it.
So we've got to talk about Sean Maloney, who we do expect to be named as the manager at some point. Whether he'll be in the stands at Hampden on Sunday, we'll wait to, and see for that one. But Tam, Maloney, we've spoken about it all week. What's he going to be thinking, watching on?
I think he's going to be hoping, obviously, the team win the game. He's going to be looking at players. He's going to be looking at formations. He's got to be looking at who's got a future at Hibs when I come in. You know, and this is a big game. This is a game where you tell, you know, if somebody plays well in this game, you know, they're capable of playing well in any game, you know, so he'll be looking at it, he'll be looking at different formations and stuff, but more importantly, he'll be just want to get in and work and start working with the players. Obviously, I think him and Gary Caldwell are going to come in at some point. They're still talking about it now, we're on in the board at Hibs, but listen, they'll be excited to come in, they'll be looking at players, and they'll just be, you know, looking forward to it.
There was that whole debate, you remember, when Van Bronckhorst was in the stands at semi-final, people were saying he should go down and give it to them at half-time, introduce himself, and I personally thought that was ridiculous. It's not going to happen with the level of professionalism these days. But David Gray said it was good that they got clarity midweek that Gray would be in charge. So we know that it's going to be Gray leading the team, deciding all the tactics. But do you think if Maloney does get announced, will Maloney contact any of the players? Will he say anything at all before, or will he just be utterly silent until Monday after?
I think it would be a massive boost. You know, there's nothing. The difference between that and Van Bronckhorst is, if Van Bronckhorst had been in there as the manager and they got beaten the semi-final, it's not a good start for him. But it's not Maloney's, you know, final. You know, so I just think going into the dressing room would be a massive boost to the team. You know, the new man. I don't know the hold up and what's going on behind the scenes, but even just being there as a presence certainly would give me a lift if the new manager come into the dressing room and was very, very positive. And obviously he's not picking the side, but he's still there and giving them some kind of team talk.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Moving over to Celtic, though, of course, injury ravaged. A late winner up at Ross County on Wednesday night kept up the pace in the Premiership. They've won 6 games in a row, and despite all of these injury problems, you've got Jota out until the new year. Kyogo may be on the bench. We'll wait to hear from Ange Postecoglou on that. But other injuries as well. James Forrest, they're just still getting through. They're still creating chances, and they're somehow still scoring goals and winning games. Yeah,
they're showing great character, Celtic, at the minute. You know, they're missing key players, as you said, but they're finding a way to win, and I think that's really important this season, particularly in the league for Celtic. You know, because Rangers have done that over the last 18 months. They've found a way to win games, whether it's 1-0, 2-0, they've found a way, and Celtic are doing that at the minute. They keep going to the end. You know, I always felt as a player up against Celtic and Rangers, you know, they always went to the end, didn't it? You know, you were never safe, one each, we were running 2-1, they always went to the death, and they've done that again at Ross County, so no matter the scoreline, you know, they'll keep going. And no, I think that Celtic have proved over the last few weeks that they've got that grit and that determination to win games, and, you know, Hibs have got to combat that somehow, but you know, it'll be interesting to see the Celtic lineup. Kyogo's been, you know, outstanding for Celtic this season. Will he start? Will he be on the bench? A huge game coming up against Rangers. You know, I think he'll probably be on the bench at best and bring him on if they're struggling, maybe 20 minutes to go, but I don't think they'll risk him from the start.
Let's talk about the Celtic lineup then. We don't think he'll be risked from the start. They may bring him on, but of course that then risks it getting a further injury. Turnbull's played through the middle as the he's not been a number 9, but he's been the furthest forward. We're likely to see Ibarra on one wing, perhaps Mikey Johnson or Adam Montgomery on the other. Juranovic was in midfield the other day. We could see Rogic return as well. So what do you expect? Is it a tough game for these young players, a Mikey Johnson or Adam Montgomery to start? Leo Ibarra, of course, never played in a cup final for Celtic before.
Well, not Mikey Johnson. Mikey Johnson's been about for a wee while. He's a player that everybody's looking to hit the heady heights, and unfortunately he's picked up a few injuries when he's just been in full flow. He's certainly the same mould as Abada and everybody that plays for Celtic wide. He's got pace, and pace will trouble, the Hibs. But for me, it's the midfield. It's Turnbull, McGregor. You're right. They do get into an attacking position for midfield, and they're just relentless. once they're flowing and playing the way that they can. So these two will be the main dangers for me. But if Rogic's playing, I think he's a big player. He's scored a few goals here, winners, and so he'll know what it's all about, and he's in tremendous form just now.
Who's the key man for Celtic?
I think Callum McGregor, as always, is the key man. I think he's, along with Joe Aribo, is the best player in the country at the minute. He's playing out his skin, he's playing with confidence, he can do everything, but as Ruffy says, Rogic is a match winner. You've seen when Celtic clinched the quadruple treble, the goal. He just loves Hampden. He scored goals galore here, and he's a guy that Hibs have got to watch very, very carefully. You've got Joe Newell and there.
Doyle Hayes.
Doyle Hayes in there. They're going to have to watch him because he drifts into areas. Celtic are so free flowing. They've not really got a set way of playing. It's hard to pick them up, as Ruffy said. The strikers drop in, the wingers move into the middle. So it's going to be difficult. But I think if you can keep Rogic quiet, that'll go a long way for Hibs to win the tie.
I'm glad you said Callum McGregor and Joe Aribo, because I was getting pelters from Peter for saying that Joe Aribo is the best player in the country right now. But hey, I think those two as well are certainly clear. Let us know who you think the best player in the country is and who you think the most important player is going to be on Sunday. Now, talking about history in this fixture, in this competition, Celtic have 19 League Cups. They won 16 games in a row at Hampden, 16 in a row, unbeaten. Yeah. I think the last team to beat them was the Rangers semi-final in 2016, where Rogic skied that penalty. But how much does that come into play? There are plenty of new players, there's a new manager, but does the experience of Rogic, of McGregor, can it be leaned on? Does it almost make them feel invincible at Hampden at the moment?
I don't think invincible, I think comfortable. It's a massive stadium to play in. There's a lot of players don't get the chance to walk out onto that park. And it will be a lot of them will be in awe of it. Someone will grab it, and enjoy every minute of it. But you have to get your head round of it. It's like playing in a derby game. You have to, if it's your first one, you need to sort of bed yourself in and maybe hope you have a couple of passes or a couple of saves or whatever. But no, I think Celtic have got the experienced players that have been there before. It doesn't mean they're going to win the game with it, but it gives them a head start.
Okay, here's what manager Ange Postecoglou had to say.
Again, our focus is on the stuff we can control. We can control our own football. We can control our own sort of intent in the game and try and make the game played on our terms, which we've done recently. And if we do that, if Hibs have a good day, then, we'll be able to match them. But what we don't want to do is kind of think that because their form's been tricky, that potentially they're not going to have a good day. We've got to prepare ourselves that they're going to be, as you saw in the semi-final, at their best and be ready to counter that.
You're hearing from Ange Postecoglou there. Tam, what would it mean to him, and what could it do for their league campaign, for the future of the club under the Australian, if they can win this competition so early? He only arrived in July.
Yeah, I think it would be a massive boost for him and the supporters. I think the supporters love him anyway. I think that he's a guy who wants to play attacking football on the front foot. That's the way Celtic have been, Celtic supporters have been brought up watching teams like that. I think they're lapping it up. They're winning games, which is crucial as well. So I think if they can go and put the League Cup in the cabinet early doors, I think that gives them a lot of credit. Gives them a lot of credit with the board in January as well, in terms of going and strengthening the team. So yeah, I think that it is a huge game. It's a huge game for both clubs, but particularly for Celtic, who will expect to win the game.
If they win it, Celtic, does it give them extra confidence going back into the league? They are still 4 points behind Rangers, plenty of games to go, but does it give them extra boost and extra confidence, the winning feeling?
Of course it does. It's for Rangers and Celtic to win a cup so early, the first thing the supporters think is the start of a treble. It means that if you win it, nobody else can get the treble but you. And and that's the way they'll be looking at it. It's the way the supporters will be looking at it, you know. And as Celtic as a club will expect to come to a final and win it. The League Cup is not a trophy, a competition way back in the 70s and 80s that they won many of, you know. So that stat you've thrown out there just shows you how much they've changed that. But both teams are the same. It's turning up at a final, you know, a wee rub of the green, you know, a wee break here and there. You know, you never know what's going to happen.
No, you never know, right? Tell us
No,
what
you
you
don't.
think's going to happen. Give us a prediction.
Well, I think the pace of Celtic, the wide players, you know, the midfield players are better than the players. I know Doyle, we keep talking about him, but you know, apart from him, I think Celtic have got better players, and I don't think it'll be a runaway win. I think it'll be pretty tight, but I do think Celtic will eventually win 2-1.
2-1. Who's going to score the winner?
I would go for maybe Turnbull.
Turnbull. Goal in a big game for Turnbull. What do you reckon? You're going to give us Hibs?
Well, I was the only one that picked Hibs to beat Rangers in semi-final, so I'm going to stick with them. I think that Hibs are capable of winning the game. They've got to come. They've got to have, I would say, 9 or 10 players playing at their very, very best to go and win the game. I think they're capable of doing that. They showed that in the semi-final against a really strong Rangers team. So I think Hibs can cause an upset, and I'm going to go for 2-1 to Hibs.
Who's going to score the winner?
Martin Boyle.
You going in normal time or extra time, either of you? Normal time?
Hopefully normal time, so we can get home early.
Wait, see, I'm going to go. I think Celtic will edge it. They haven't lost to Hibs in 12 games, which is a really poor record for Hibs. I'm going to go Celtic to win 3-1, but after extra time. Maybe Kyogo to come off the bench. Who knows? Who knows? Right. Before we move on, you're talking about a photo of Postecoglou you saw with Van Bronckhorst.
Yeah, I believe they were out, a bit of the PR. I believe they were out last night having a wee quiet meal together, which I think is a good sign.
Yeah.
The better meeting in that kind of environment than touchside sometimes, because sometimes it gets a bit rowdy. So no, I think it's good. It's good for football to let everybody know that the footballers and managers are human and they like to get for a drink and a meal together.
Yeah. What do you think they're talking about?
Ross Wilson was there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So there's no way he was picking up the tab. He is tighter than cramped by a wee Ross. But no, it was great that they're out. I'm not so sure they were out. They actually arranged it. Maybe they just bumped into each other. But Ruffy seems to have inside information that they met up.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. When they handshake. When's the game? January the 2nd. You think they'll already met each other in the?
No, I think once the game starts, that goes out the window. It's a different. When you get into a stadium and a derby game, I mean, you can shake hands after it, but before it, it's all about winning.
Yeah, okay. We'll have a preview for that as well, but it's all focus on the game that will be taking place behind us on Sunday. We've got to talk about Scotland now. You can see the captain, Andy Robertson and Rachel Corsie behind me. Robertson knows that his team will face Armenia, Ukraine and the Republic of Ireland in the Nations League. Now, it's important to state the Nations League isn't until the summer. The most important thing, of course, is the World Cup playoff. The semi-final is against Ukraine at Hampden at the end of March. And then the final, if they do get through, will be away to either Austria or Wales. But Ukraine again in
the new Israel.
The new Israel. Oh, it's going to be endless games, isn't it? But what do you make of the group? A lot of people have been sending in comments and saying that it's actually a good draw, a winnable draw. You know that if you do come out on top in this selection, you get promoted to the top, which can then give you benefits further down the line of getting a back entrance into the Euros or the World Cup when it comes on, whether it's, I think it'll be World Cup 2026 by then. But what do you make of the draw? Ukraine, we're fancying our chances to beat them in the World Cup playoff, and they're the best team in there. Republic of Ireland and Armenia.
I think it's a good draw for Scotland. I think that Ukraine away will be difficult. Ukraine at home, I think you could have got a tougher top seed, no doubt about that. So, and Republic of Ireland, they've improved a lot under Stephen Kenny. He went off to a poor start. I actually spoke to Stephen last night. He's looking forward to coming back to Scotland. But
name drop there.
Yeah, it was. I spoke to him about a couple of different things, but unfortunately, he invited me over to the game in Ireland in Dublin, but it's in June. I think it's June the 11th.
June the 11th it is.
Yeah, and I'll be in Canada on holiday. So
oh, are you?
I've been in Canada, so I'll miss the first.
We'll be over there,
there's 4 games in the first 2 weeks in June, is that right?
So yeah, it's the first 4 games are played instead of like a summer tournament, because it would usually be 2022 it would be a World Cup. Obviously the World Cup is not until the winter, so it's going to be 4 games then and then 2 games in September, I think it is. Yeah. But the first 2 are Armenia and Ukraine at home, and then Republic of Ireland away, 11th of June. We'll be there. That'll be a good trip for the Tartan Army, won't it?
Yeah, we'll know a lot more about Ukraine. Having already played them, we'll know their strengths and weaknesses. So that's always good for both sides. But I think it's a tough group. That because I always find when it's no Republic of Ireland or Wales or Ireland or England, the sort of the way they throw it in like a Battle of Britain sort of a thing, that sometimes takes the edge off the game. At the footballing side of it, because everybody thinks they're all going to be kicking lumps at each other, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's moved on for that, but that game could be a tricky one.
Yeah, Ireland are improving under Stephen Kenny, but they don't have the same crop of players that they had 10, 15, 20 years ago. So would you expect Scotland to be going there? I know it's months away and there's games before. Would you expect Scotland to be going there as favourites to win over in Dublin?
Yeah, I think so. I think Scotland on paper have got a better squad than Ireland.
Certainly, yeah.
No doubt about that. What I would say is, as Ireland have improved, and Stephen Kenny, as I've worked with him twice, he's very, very attacking. He'll play 4-3-3 anywhere, and he'll do that against Scotland. So I think there'll be opportunities for Scotland to go and catch him on the break. Stevie Clark's more pragmatic in terms of his approach. So Ireland will go and attack. They'll do the same here at Hampden. I think it'll be 2 open games. So I'm looking forward to it. There's a great link obviously between the Scottish and Irish fans. I think the Irish fans will bring a load over here at Hampden as well, and we'll take loads over there. So I think that'll be 2 great spectacles. Yeah,
certainly will be. Quickly, fancy us to win that group, second place ahead of Ukraine, or what do you think?
I think Ukraine, we'll have to see how good they are in March. Certainly if we beat them in March, it'd give us a wee sort of a head start, if you beat them. So, but no, I think they'll all be tough games. It's proved in every group we play in, they're all tough. We never make it easy for ourselves. It's always waiting to the last game, but hopefully that's not the case this time.
Okay, we've got plenty to go through still. Looking to the 4 Premiership games on Saturday. We're going to start with Dundee United at Ibrox. They're facing the champions Rangers, of course. There will be 2 Dundee United players missing due to self-isolation. Now, the team had their Christmas night out on Sunday down in Newcastle. We spoke to manager Tam Courts, though. He was confident that they followed all of the protocol and they wouldn't play this game if they felt they were endangering anyone at all.
These cases can come in Newcastle, they can come in Edinburgh, and also we also had that positive COVID case within a staff member last week. So potentially there's different ways that this virus could obviously be transmitted. But I think we're quite content that we put in mitigated, arrangements for the players to be protected, yet still actually have a bit of downtime, which they don't actually get a lot of, as you know.
So Courts is also saying that around 15 and 20 clubs from Scotland were on their Christmas nights out that weekend. If they followed the rules, and you know that Nicola Sturgeon, the First Minister, had advised against going away, but it was legal, nothing was broken, and if they follow protocol, they have a few players missing, but they're happy to go ahead. Are you happy with that? You think that's okay?
Yeah, well, the boys got a night out in Newcastle, so I think the boys will be happy. It's good for team morale. But no, listen, you can catch it anywhere. If it's a night out in Edinburgh or Glasgow or Dundee or whatever, they can still have caught it, so I don't think there's any problem with going to Newcastle. Obviously coming back, they've got a few cases which opens them up for criticism, I suppose, from other players, other companies. But listen, it's one of these things. You can catch it anywhere. Yeah,
it's gonna happen, isn't it, Ruffy? As we see the Omicron variant spread through the country, it sounds doom and gloom, but it is going to happen. We'll talk about St Mirren in a minute as well. They've got more cases, thankfully they don't have a game this weekend. But everyone, you're starting to know people as well that have got it, and that's when you think more and more of this is coming. But you can't begrudge them, can you, if they have followed protocol and followed rules?
No, these things are planned months and months. They don't treat it lightly. That they know the bubbles and the distances, and they know what they've got to do. To try not to get it. And I think any of the teams that went away would have been well prepared for it. But as Tam said, there's no guarantee. That you could be walking down Sauchiehall Street and get it. So I don't think that should be held against them.
And he did say that they watched the Formula 1.
Yeah.
So which is fine, which is pretty safe, but unfortunately didn't mention it was in a nightclub.
I saw them say they were all watching it in bed, Formula 1, so yeah, definitely. But let's get on to the football side of things. Tough game for them to go to Ibrox, missing a few bodies. Their form hasn't been great lately either, has it?
No, it hasn't. I think they're 4 or 5 games without a win. Luckily for them, they got a lot of points on the board early. So they're in a little bit of a blip at the minute. I think Hibs are only 2 points behind them. So they've got to start picking up points. I don't see them getting anything at Ibrox, but I think Rangers under Van Bronckhorst look very strong at the minute. They're not conceding goals. They're very tight at the back. They're creating lots of chances again against St Johnstone. I think they had 9 or 10 shots on target. On another night they could have been 4 or 5. So I think Rangers will do the same to Dundee United. I think Dundee United are a better side than St Johnstone, but I still think Rangers will win that comfortably, 2-0.
2-0. Rangers almost going under the radar at the moment that Van Bronckhorst has come in. won all of his games except the Lyon away, which was a draw, and that's an impressive result over in France. They've got the Celtic are in the cup final. All the talks about this. They're going to play another game, another chance to win. They'll go 7 points clear if they win on Saturday.
No, I thought before Steven Gerrard left, they were on a wee sort of a mini wobble. Not a disastrous wobble, but not playing as well as what they were. But now the new manager's come in. I think they're just back to where they were. They're just relentless now. They're back to a settled team. He's identified the 11 that he wants, and Rangers' strength last year was that 11 played nearly all the time, and that's what they're doing now against St Johnstone. Again, they were just had it been for Zander Clark, it could have been 5 or 6. Yeah. So I think it'll be the same against Dundee United. I think Dundee United's problem was they can't score a goal. You get Nicky Clark, and that's it. You know, Nicky Clark's
Ryan Edwards, the defender.
Yeah, Nicky Clark's always got his back to the goal. He's always coming off. He's never on the front foot. So I can't see them scoring at all. And I think I've went Rangers 2-0 as well.
I've not even picked my predictions yet. What will I go? I think.
Just copy me again.
No. Well, how many points ahead of you am I?
Couple.
Couple. You're still down at the bottom. You get saving all your Christmas money, okay?
Yes.
End of the season. I'm going to go 3-0 Rangers. Joe Aribo, best player in the country, says Gabriel Antoniazzi, not Peter Martin. I think he'll score a couple of these red hot right now. And I really like the way that they're playing wide as well. Scott Wright as well seems to be coming on to a game. So I'm going to go 3-0 to Rangers. That should edge you out. I'll be cheering on the goals. Finally, what has impressed you most about Rangers since Van Bronckhorst has come in? Before we move on,
I think defensively, I think they've not conceded. They're not looking as if they're going to concede goals. I think he's sorted them out at the back. I think that a fresh voice that's come in has been a huge benefit.
Is that what the difference was? Because you remember Goldson and Balogun here at Hampden had a really torrid time.
Yeah.
And a month on, is it just because they've got a new message?
Yeah, I just think that's worked out perfectly for both. I think Steven Gerrard going to Aston Villa. I'm not saying he'd run his course at Rangers, but I think 2 or 3 years at a club, then it's time to move on as a manager. I think the players have benefited from a new voice coming in, maybe new tactics, you know, and it's freshened everybody up a wee bit. It's gave a wee bit of hunger back, a wee bit of excitement back, and I think that it's worked out. It's going to work out perfectly for both clubs. So I think that Van Bronckhorst coming in has been very, very good for Rangers. Yeah,
certainly has been. Right, we'll leave Dundee United behind and move on to the city rivals Dundee. They're hosting Hearts on Saturday. An important game for Dundee. The battle at the bottom is really hotting up whilst Hearts are looking to cement their place in third. They are starting to create a little gap between themselves and the chasing pack of Dundee United, Motherwell and Aberdeen. So an interesting game at Dens Park. What have you gone for?
I think I went for a Hearts win. I was impressed with Hearts last week against Rangers.
They had a lot of chances, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought that the chances they created, you know, if they'd taken them, they might have got something out of the game. I think Dundee are again on the wobble a wee bit. I think the confidence was there when they got a couple of wins, but the defeats they've had and the way they've defended, they haven't defended particularly well, particularly up at Ross County. And Hearts will get chances again, you know, and again Dundee have a problem of scoring goals. So I think I went Hearts to just win narrowly 2-1.
I'm going to go for 1-1, the same scoreline that it was when these two met at Tynecastle earlier in the season. I'm not sure about Hearts away from home, not as impressive as they are at that fortress that is Tynecastle at the moment. What are you going for? What do you think? Where's the empty won and lost? Dundee, as he said, they look, for me, Dundee are the weakest team at the back in the league right now.
Yeah, the boy Sweeney gets sent off as well, so we're going to miss him. I think Hearts will nick it as well. I think you're totally right. I think Hearts away from home have not been as good as they have been at home. I thought they were fortunate to beat Livingston 1-0 away from home. Yeah. Livingston created a lot of chances. Craig Gordon was outstanding. So I still think they're going to win the game. Dundee, for me, Ruffy's right. They're struggling to score goals. They're a wee bit toothless during the week at Easter Road. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Hearts.
2-1 to Hearts, OK. Robin Nielsen, I was speaking to him yesterday. He's, of course, keen to pick up another 3 points. He said these last few games before the winter break give them an opportunity to set them up really well heading into the second part of the season.
Yeah, look, it's always difficult at this time of year with the surfaces and the weather, and depending who you're playing against as well. But it's the period when we've got 4 games in the next couple of weeks, so it's an opportunity for us to, put in a real marker and get a good kind of end to the first half of the season, and that's what we're hoping to do. Expected to be a tough game up at Dens Park, as it always is. It's a difficult place to go at the best of times. I think they've got an experienced team.
Next game, we've got to speak about Livingston against Ross County. We were speaking about Livingston just there. plenty of chances against Hearts, just couldn't convert. Well, Craig Gordon was in his top form, as he has been all campaign. But another battle at the bottom. Interesting. County like to score goals as well. How can you see this one going at the Spaghetti Had?
Yeah, I think this will be a decent game actually. I don't see that too often at the Spaghetti Had. But I think that Ross County are very open. They play with the two wide men. I thought they missed a trick against Celtic during the week there. You know, people are going on about the injury time. Let's not forget, Ross County, their extra man. They could have gone out and won the game as well. And they kind of settled for a point, I thought, against Celtic. So they'll be looking to try and get points at Livingston. Livingston are a great run at the minute, strong at home, that AstroTurf. I think Livingston will just edge it. Again, another 6 pointer at the bottom. These games are huge. You know, I know I've played in all these games myself. These are massive during the season. Teams that you know for a fact are going to be down there with you. You know, you've got to try and win the game, and I think Livingston will win it. And I think I've went for 2-1 to Livy.
I was impressed with Livy, you know, but I'm impressed when they go out not to lose the game. You know, against Dundee United, they all fight for each other. They get everybody behind the ball. Last week at Dundee United, there was about 10 of them in the 18-yard box, and you know, Dundee United just couldn't get a shot in. They were diving in front of you, they were blocking. But it's a different Livy when they know they've got to go and win. When they got to go and win, then gaps appear. And I think Ross County will take something out of the Celtic game. I do think they've got players, if Livy do come out and don't sit in, that they could pick them off. But I can't split the two of them, and I think I've went for one each.
I'm going 1-1 as well. I really do like Ross County. They've got Joseph Hungbo and Regan Charles Cook. Good wingers. I like the way that they try and attack, and they don't seem to be too bothered about, oh, let's keep clean sheets, you know, the kind of rhetoric you always see with teams down at the bottom. Don't get beat. They just think, why not? Let's have end-to-end games. So I'm going for a 1-1 in West Lothian. We'll wait and see what happens there. The last game we've got to talk about as well is Motherwell against St Johnstone. Now, Motherwell are in 5th place at the moment. They've been, as you said, Jekyll and Hyde at times this season, sometimes really impressive, sometimes struggling. They face a St Johnstone side that are rock bottom of the table, and you just flash back to a year ago in the League Cup final. It was St Johnstone who were going to run out victors at 1-0 against Livingston that day. St Johnstone really struggling, and they're in trouble again. It's a lack of goals.
Yep. They are struggling. You know, they need players back. Stevie May, I think, come on against Rangers, so I think he'll probably start. I don't see them getting into it at this game, Gabs. I think that Motherwell will win again. I think I've went for 2-0 to Motherwell. Motherwell have impressed me this season. I think they're good at home. They're pretty strong at the back, so I think I've went for 2-0 to Motherwell. Just
staying on St Johnstone before we go into Motherwell, are they much more in danger than any of us thought? At the start of the season, they were playing in the Europa League, then the Conference League. Are they one of the favourites to go down? Are they the favourite to go down?
I think at the minute they're one of the favourites. I don't think they're the favourite to go down. I think that they've still got good players in there, but if they can't score goals, you know, and they can't score a goal at the minute, then you're going to struggle, because they're not keeping clean sheets either. You know, they're missing, you know, big players. Jason Kerr obviously left, Ali McCann. I don't think people realise how big those two players were, particularly McCann. His energy in the middle of the park, they've missed that. So I think St Johnstone are in real trouble. They've got to try and get a couple of strikers in the window and try and get goals into the team.
Yeah. Are you going for a Motherwell win as well?
Yeah, I'm going for a Motherwell win. I think they'll play two strikers, Motherwell. I think that'll give St Johnstone a bit of problem. Again, St Johnstone have been toothless up front. You know, it's back to the wall at Ibrox. I think they'll try and come out and get something out of the game, but I think Motherwell at home have shown that they're as good as anybody. So I think I've went Motherwell 2-0 as well.
I'm going Motherwell 1-0. Tony Watt with the goal. But speaking about Tony Watt, he has rejected another contract offer from the Steelmen. It looks like he's set to leave in the summer when his contract does run out, which means he could also sign a pre-contract in a few weeks' time. Just a final word on Tony Watt. Would you expect to see him stay in Scotland? Could he go to an Aberdeen, a Hibs, a Hearts?
Yeah, I think he could go and play for any of them. To be honest, he's been very good this season. Disappointing. I'm disappointed for Motherwell. I'm disappointed for their fans, because they gave him a chance. You know, he was in the wilderness a little bit, and he's come in. They've rebuilt his career, and he's going to go. Listen, I don't blame the player. He's 27 years old. He's probably thinking this is one of my last big moves. You know, he can go on a free somewhere. He deserves it with the season he's had. But I do feel sorry for the Motherwell players and the Motherwell staff, because you know, he's such a big player for them, and they have revitalised his career. Yeah,
certainly be a big loss in the summer if he does go. But if you had to pick one team you could see Tony Watt at, who would you pick? Who needs it?
Well, I think it's the teams that want to get that third place, you know, and I would say Hearts and Aberdeen. you know, would look at him. Is he still the top goal scorer this year?
I think he is with 9.
You know, that's good enough for them to have a look at them. I don't know what his demands are and what he's looking for. There are certain clubs can reach his demands. Other clubs might not want to. So we'll just have to wait and see. But I think all these teams down the bottom, we'll have to keep our eye on the January window, because I think every one of them will try and bring in at least 4 or 5 players.
4 or 5?
Yeah, I think they will. Well, they won't pay any money. You know, they'll just get loans. They'll just get loans and everybody, you know, and I think there'll be a wee bit, you know, itchy down there, you know, and see where everybody is, and we'll have to strengthen.
Okay. St Mirren don't have a game this weekend, but they have got some COVID cases, and we touched on earlier. They will be playing Celtic in Paisley on Wednesday. Currently the game is going ahead, but they need another round of testing before that fixture. So we'll wait and see how many players are unavailable for the Paisley side. Unfortunately, we are seeing a rise of cases, and I don't want to end on a doom and gloom note, but it looks like it is going back the way it was, you know, a year or two ago. The safety of the fans, of the players, has to be paramount, doesn't it, Tam? And we might see something over the next week or two, whether it reduces fan attendances or reintroduces social guidelines. But you just got to keep everyone safe, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You've got to go with the people that know what they're talking about. You know, the scientists and the health experts. Listen, just give us Christmas and New Year. I think most people are just wanting Christmas and New Year. Yeah. Then in January, people don't want to drink and eat anymore anyway, and don't want to go out. So. Let's just maybe do something in January, a circuit break or a couple of weeks or whatever, but give us our Christmas and New Year. I think that's great. We need that for the morale of the country. You know, give us that, and you can lock us down when we're stuffed and had enough drink.
That's what Robin Nielsen was saying on Thursday when I spoke to him. It was David Martindale said earlier, perhaps we need a circuit break, but Nielsen just said football is so crucial to people's lives. It is their livelihood, so many people. If they can just get to the January the 3rd break, and then maybe it's a circuit break, but we'll just have to wait and see. Ruffy, you had your booster yet?
Yeah, I've had everything, yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of players haven't. You know, I think that's the problem that clubs have got. You know, that there are some players, and quite rightly so, it's their opinion what they want to do, but it puts a lot of clubs in a difficult position. You know, we're now seeing clubs, you know, getting, you know, the virus again. So I really hope they don't shut us down. I think shutting us down would be a shocker. You know, I think they have to look at other things, like maybe fans just going back to streaming for a wee while, you know, and curtailing it a wee bit. But shutting us down would be financially a nightmare for a lot of clubs.
Yeah, certainly will be. No PLZ party on Sunday. You're going to have a little beer by yourself? We could have a Zoom after the cup final?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah?
The Christmas party cancelled. It's a devastating impact on the.
It's the other reason he's here, for the Christmas party. I know. We'll have to wait and see the Christmas party, the Zoom that we'll be having. Tam, will you be smiling? Will you be crying? It all depends on the game on Sunday. Celtic against Hibernian. Who will come out on top? Tam, surprisingly, is backing Hibs. Ruffy thinks it'll be Celtic. I think it might go the distance. We want to hear from you. Make sure you send in all of your predictions in the comments below. We'll be continuing build-up over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Sunday, I'll be back here at Hampden Park giving you a preview and a post-match analysis of the game. We've got to thank you for joining us. It's the final show of 2021. Thank you for sticking with us all throughout the year. It's been fantastic to read out all of your comments, have all of your thoughts. Well, we'll be posting the competition winner online, so stay tuned for that. That'll be coming later this afternoon, just following on from the show. But from myself, from Ruffy, from Tam, thank you for joining us. Stay safe, have a good weekend, a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.